2, 1. We're going live. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon from Turkey, and welcome to those of you joining us today from around the globe for the 6th episode of HE Talks today. My name is Erhan Yavaş. I work as Newton Fund Manager for the British Council in Turkey, and I'm delighted to be moderating this panel with such a distinguished guests and audience. The theme of our session today is creating sustainable future through research partnerships. Let me provide a brief information about the Newton Fund. Newton Fund builds research and innovation partnerships with partner countries to support their economic development and social welfare, and to develop their research and innovation capacity for long-term sustainable growth. The fund is managed by the UK Department of Business, Energy and Industrial Strategy and delivered through 7 UK delivery partners, including the British Council. It has a total UK government investment of £735 million with matched resources from partner countries. Today, 4 academic researchers will be our guests of honor as previous Newton Fund grantees, and we will talk about their projects through the lens of environmental sustainability. I would like to introduce you our distinguished panelists today. Professor Ashraf Ashur from University of Bradford.
Thank you very much.
Professor Mustafa Shahmaran from Hacettepe University.
Thank you very much.
Dr. Sarush Sharifi from University of Birmingham.
Good afternoon, everyone.
And Dr. Babek Wahed-Dost from Bursa Technical University.
Hello everyone. Nice to be here.
We will follow up a set of questions to understand their work and future plans, of course. Please ask your own questions through Q&A box on your screen and use the like button so that we can choose the questions which are of interest to most of our audiences. In the Q&A session at the end, we will ask your questions to our panelists. Before I invite our first speaker, let me just share with you some details about the webinar. This session will be recorded and shared after the session. Once you register, you can choose to attend all future sessions that we will organize every 2 months. So let me start with the first question. And our first project team will be Ashraf Ashur and Mustafa Shahmaran. My question will be, can you tell us about the issue that your project addresses and why is it important that a solution is found to the issue?
Okay, let me answer this question. Okay, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you very much for attending our webinar today, and thank you very much, Erhan and the British Council in Turkey for inviting us to talk about this research partnership. The main aim, obviously, to tackle the impact of climate change, and that was the main aim of our project. So if I start by giving you some information about the issues, mainly environmental and societal challenges and the issues facing both Turkey and UK and EU and the rest of the world. Our project mainly focusing on 2 main challenges. The first one related to CO2 emission, and that CO2 emission in our project are produced from Portland cement. For the knowledge of the audience, Portland cement is the main binder of concrete, and the production of such Portland cement is significantly energy inefficient. It's carbon intensive, and if we consider Portland cement based concrete. I mean, as I said, Portland cement is the main binder of concrete. This material, concrete, is the second mostly used material globally. The first one is obviously water, and the concrete is the second one. Globally, we're producing around 30 billion tons of concrete. So the amount of CO2 emission produced from such concrete and Portland cement production accounts for 5 to 8% of all human-driven CO2 emission. So this is the first issue we're trying to tackle. Second issue we're trying to tackle is related to construction and demolition waste. Again, at the end of any building life, we normally destructively demolish such building, especially if it's reinforced concrete, and all the demolition waste is landfilled, causing environmental and health issues, or in few occasions it's been down cycled. So this approach obviously is very energy wasteful, creating serious environmental, as I said, and environmental and health issues, and at high cost as well. To give you an idea about the amount of construction demolition waste produced in various countries, let's take Turkey as an example. Nearly 6 million buildings will have to be demolished by 2040. This is around 1/3 of the building stock of Turkey. In UK, it's not different. We produced in UK around 200 million tons of waste in 2018. This figure produced by DEFRA, the Department for Environment, Food, Rural Affairs. 200 million tons. Construction and demolition waste responsible for 30% of this construction of this waste. In Europe, very similar story. What we normally do with the construction and demolition waste, either landfilling them or downcycling, using them in road bases or any other downcycling application. Our Newton project, I'm talking here about the Newton project, followed by the Newton Prize 2020 project as well. We trying to develop an environmentally friendly green concrete called Geopolymer Concrete. And the good thing as well about this Geopolymer Concrete is produced from construction and demolition waste. So we, rather than downcycling or landfilling construction and demolition waste, we upcycling this by producing a Geopolymer Concrete. So we tackling those two main issues. We reducing, even minimizing, or hopefully in future eliminating the production of Portland cement. This will affect the CO2 emission. At the same time, we're trying to upcycle construction and demolition waste. On top of this, we're trying to propose future solution as well for the demolition of the building by proposing a demountable Lego-like structural element. So you can assemble and disassemble various buildings, and this will facilitate future reuse of structural elements at the end of the building life. You don't have or eliminate or minimize any demolition waste, and at the same time we're giving the client benefits of retaining their assets in terms of their building and their structure. So that's in principle covering the two issues, as I said, facing the humanity, which is CO2 emission and construction demolition waste, and how our project tackling those two issues. So thank you very much.
Ashraf Hojam. Thank you, Ashraf Hojam. That was a thorough explanation of your project. And as far as I can understand, and as far as I know from your project, construction waste is a very growing issue environmentally, and your project will be one of the pioneers to solve that problem. Thank you very much for that. And Sarush Hocam and Babak Hocam, can we ask the same question to you? Can you tell us about the issue that your project specifically addresses, and why is it important for us?
Sure. Thank you, Erhan, for the introductions, and I will start answering this question, and then halfway I'll probably hand over to my colleague, Dr. Wahidus, to continue with his explanation. So to just give a little bit of background to this project to the audience, our project was titled Knowledge Transfer and Capacity Building for Sustainable Water Management in Bursa, Turkey. So the main focus of the project was capacity building and also studying sustainable water management solutions in the region. And what we did was that so this was a research environment link project funded by the Newton Grant and the British Council. So what we did was that we identified a few main objectives that we wanted to reach in this project. The first main objective was to initiate collaborations between the two institutions. Well, obviously, we wanted to study this region, which is very interesting in terms of water resources, and Dr. Wahidus is going to talk about that in more detail in a bit. And so we had to establish this link first to understand the problem and look at it with sharing our experiences from both sides. So as part of this, we planned some visits, which unfortunately didn't happen because of COVID. We planned some seminars and workshops. This was to meet different stakeholders. Again, water resources and sustainability in water resources, it's a very multidisciplinary project, and it requires the involvement of different people with different expertise, with different backgrounds. And so what we did was that we tried to engage different stakeholders, and this was through the seminars and workshop events that we organized. And we also tried to do some capacity building, and this was by engaging early career researchers in our project, in our research. The second objective was to create a network of academics at Bursa who were doing research on water. So on top of identifying the challenges, we were also looking for experts, especially in Bursa region, that do research around sustainability of water resources. And we had individual meetings with some experts. We had some more general seminar sessions, and we identified and we connected to a good number of academics, and we established a good network for collaboration. And what we also were trying to do was trying to establish the foundations of a water research institute at Bursa. So having the experience of having a research institute at Birmingham, we tried to basically copy that model and try to lay the foundations of a water research institute at Bursa, because again, water problems are global problems, and they're multidisciplinary. It's not just one or two academics working to solve these problems. So we need to bring in expertise from different fields, and that is what we try to achieve here in this project. And finally, we had a research element to our project, which was understanding the water challenges in Bursa, and here we focus on the pollution management and the pollution of groundwater sources in Bursa region. So we did some desk-based study. We were planning to do some fieldwork, which was not possible due to travel limitations, but we managed to get some good data from the local authorities, and we did some analysis. And now I'm going to hand over to my colleague, Dr. Wahidus, who's going to talk about the research aspect of the project.
Okay, everyone. I am also thankful the opportunity that you provide us, even for this meeting, and also for the establishment of the link between our universities. So I think that Dr. Sharifi already talked about the project and the main aspect and aim of the study. So since we are focused mostly on a specific region, I want to introduce the Bursa region first here. So you can see that in the map, the Bursa is one of the main districts of Turkey located in the northwest, near Istanbul, and for those who are familiar with the most popular cities of Istanbul and Izmir, it's almost located between Izmir, Istanbul, and a triangle between Ankara, Istanbul, and Izmir. It's the fourth major city with about more than 3 million inhabitants that living in it. It has a historical, socio-economical, and food agri-food source for the Turkey, because the nearby districts and provinces are also provide some of the food, water, and some industrial material from this district. It has a great importance. So can you move to the next slide, please? Yes, as you can see here, this is the Google map of the Bursa. There are some permanent lakes around. We have as you can see here in blue triangle, we had mountain ranges and mountain named Mount Uludağ. Excuse me. Oh, we have a mountain ranges here named Mount Uludağ, which is a serious snowpack reserve and a destination for tourists which are eager to ski here. We also had access to the Marmara Sea here in the coastlines. But as you can also see in the picture, that there are many settlements around that have a great potential for polluting the water. So since it is an agricultural zone and industrial zone, the water resources here are very under the stress of or the risk of getting polluted. So one of our main aspects of study and project was first to know the situation, because there are almost no study about the situation of water resources in Bursa. And after that, we plan to go through a detailed study about the impacts of industrial zones, some settlements on the water, which is also addressed in the next slide that you can share. As you can see here, this is the map of the industrial zones around, and some of them are also located just nearby these permanent lakes. That's all for me, and if you have a question, I will be happy to answer.
Thank you, Babek Hocam. We received a similar answer from Ashraf Hocam when he was explaining the project. But for your project, especially, I would like to ask this question, because we are talking about a natural resource and rightfully managing that natural resource. So why now? What is the risk of not doing something now?
Let me explain why. So the water and the water deficit is a hot topic now. If you have already heard from the news that there's a drought going on everywhere in Turkey, in Middle East, and in some parts of the world. There are also climate change challenges around. And when we think about the destiny of our kind, we decided that we have to take some actions now, because it is getting late. And if we want to provide our children some friendly environment, we have to provide and protect these resources. And water resources are one of the most important and one of the most important and serious kinds of resources. Because also we don't know any type of life that is capable of living without water. That's why we have to take actions, simply and brief.
That was quite clear. Babak Hocam. That was quite clear. And Ashraf Hocam and Mustafa Hocam, the next question for you will be a little bit difficult question because it is not easy to define success, but what is your definition of your success for your project? Is it only academic success? Is it only academic measures, or should we be looking for some to the life direct impact?
Okay, let me answer this question this time. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you very much for your kind introduction, Erhan. It's also very nice to be here. As Ashraf explained, so within the scope of our project, we successfully developed completely construction and demolition waste-based green binder system with a performance much more higher than the traditional concrete currently used in the construction. So in this way, an efficient recycling process of construction and demolition waste, which are currently landfilled, can be developed. And this process provides us transforming a waste product to a high value added product and thereby reducing the use of the natural sources such as aggregates or raw materials for the production of the Portland cement, etc. So considering the cost of the Portland cement, it represents more than 45% of the cost of the traditional concrete, and the clean aggregates constituting 70-75% of the traditional concrete. So therefore, utilization of construction and demolition waste-based new generation binders and recycled aggregates from the concrete rubbles in developing Portland cement and natural aggregate free, we call green concrete. It's going to provide the reduction of the cost of the concrete production up to 50%. This is one of our objectives, which will directly affect the practical application of the construction materials. So as another point, the newly developed demountable construction system reduced the overall cost of the construction nearly around 30% compared to mainstream application as a result of the substantial reduction in equipment and workmanship needs in the construction site, for example. Moreover, the mountability feature of the new construction system, it facilitates future reuse after service life of the existing structure and potentially achieving more than 50% reduction in embodied energy of the structures, and it provides benefits to owners to retain the value of their assets and making housing much more affordable, especially for poor, homeless or refugees, which is one of the main problems in our country, refugees, as you all know. And to improve the project's benefits, now we are working on enhancing the greenness of the developed construction and demolition waste-based material structures through efficient carbon dioxide binding or elimination capability in favor of the human health, natural ecosystem and global economy. What our purpose? We are planning to permanently store around 200 to 300 kilogram per meter cube of the recycled materials, carbon dioxide in the structure of the recycled materials. I think all these can be considered as an indicators of the success of the projects. But in general, when the results of our projects are evaluated, it can be said that it was not only important for the Turkey or the UK, but also important for the rest of the world, since construction demolition waste, as Ashraf explained, and carbon dioxide are the two most important issues for all around the world. Unfortunately, carbon dioxide gases released by different countries, sprayed by air, all over the world without being exposed to any physical borders. And considering this, it can be said that the most important thing that should be stated to define the success of the project is the implementation of the developed methodologies in real applications and their widespread applications all over the world. Because at the end of these projects, hopefully next year, we are planning to construct one demo structures in Ankara to demonstrate the efficiency of this material and these demountable concrete structures. I think that's
Mustafa
all.
Hocam, I'm really excited to see your first demo construction in Ankara. I'm really looking forward to see it and talking to you inside that building. We already discussed it. Hopefully we will see it soon. And you clearly explained the socioeconomic impact of your project and the its benefits to vulnerable groups of people. Thank you, Mustafa Hocam. The same difficult question for you, Sarush Hocam and Babak Hocam.
Yeah.
What is the definition of success for your project?
Okay, so yeah, as you mentioned, it's very difficult to measure success, especially when we are talking about research. But what we tried to do was, when we were designing this project, we tried to set achievable and measurable objectives and benchmarks so that we could somehow have a measure of the success of the project. So one of the main objectives was building the links and network between the two institutions, and I think we were quite successful because of the many activities that we had and because of the networks that we created. We now have about, if I'm not mistaken, about 60 academics in Bursa region that we've identified and we've talked to directly or indirectly that focus on water research. It's been great that this network is there, and through this network we've been able to identify the challenges. So we've met with stakeholders and with experts, and collectively bringing all the experience and all the knowledge has enabled us to come up with a priority list for the challenges in water resources management in Bursa. So I think in that regards we have had success in obtaining those objectives. The next objective was capacity building. So we wanted to spend time on training early career researchers and involving them in our research. And this was done bilaterally. So we had young and early career researchers in getting them involved in the project from the UK and also from Turkey. And also what we did was that we developed a training program for using different water quality sensors. And we had a virtual workshop where we taught early career researchers and academics on how to use different water quality sensors. So we tried to achieve this capacity building objective as well. And in terms of research, so we were planning to do some field work, which didn't happen, but by connecting with the stakeholders and with the local authorities, we had access to some water quality data, and we tried to analyze it to understand the current state of groundwater pollution in the region. And this is some findings that we are getting published in a research paper. And if I just want to list the main findings, we found out that the groundwater quality is generally acceptable for agriculture, but not so good for drinking. We also were able to identify the pollutants that need to be removed if that water is going to be used for drinking. And we were also able to associate them with some sources. So the resolution of the data that we had was limited. Obviously, we need to continue this research, take more, do more field work and take more samples. But at the end, we have a very good idea about how water quality changes from one region to another region. and now we have a plan to continue this part of research if possible. And if we want to reach our final goal, it would be by influencing and changing policy in this area. So how do industries, how are industries regulated around the water and the wastewater that they generate? So this is what we are hoping to achieve, but obviously we will need to do more work and investigate this in more detail.
Those are very, very well-defined aims and measures of success. Thank you for explaining, Sarush Hocam. You just beyond your academic targets, you just mentioned your success measures about creating a network effect and disseminating the know-how. That is quite critical, especially when it comes to such projects between two countries, between different research groups. Those are very valuable targets. While mentioning the things about the importance of collaboration, I'd like to ask my next question in that sense. And this will be a little bit long question because I'd like to ask for many aspects. What was the nature of your collaboration? I really would like to learn about it. And how did you benefit from each other's strengths? How did this research benefit from international collaboration? Putting a little bit cream cherry on top of it, I'd like to also ask, what is the role of Newton Fund in your project? So what enabled you to achieve that you wouldn't otherwise have been able to do? I think it is, let's give Sarush Hocam and Babak Hocam some time to rest, and Ashraf Hocam and Mustafa Hocam, would you like to go first? Unmuting your microphones.
Okay.
I think he's dropped from the system. Erhan, would you like to?
I can see him.
Yeah, I'm back. I'm back. It's just a problem with muting. I'm muting. So let me start by answering this part of the question. I mean, at least the first part, which is related to the collaboration with Mustafa team. The relation and the collaboration between myself and Mustafa goes back to 10 years ago, because we're having a very sort of complementary, interdisciplinary, multidisciplinary expertise. Mustafa is a material scientist with very long experience, very comprehensive experience in analyzing materials and testing them and developing sustainable materials. I a structural engineer, so we both have extensive experience in the topic of the project, but we complementing each other. So this synergy and the complementary expertise help it very much in start developing a material which could be extended to application in infrastructure and structural engineering projects. So that was one very important benefit from Mustafa's team. He started in developing the material. I taken this material, extended their application to infrastructure and building bridges and other infrastructures. The project itself was excellent opportunity to change knowledge between both partners. We are here in Bradford and Mustafa in Hajjateba University. The facilities as well available at each university was ideal to look at the work packages and look at various investigations in the project. So we exchanged the knowledge. We had close collaboration to achieve the final target. That was in the first Newton funded project. In the Newton Prize, which is a continuation of the first one, after gaining lots of knowledge from Mustafa's side, and Mustafa gained lots of knowledge from our side, we sort of tried here in UK to develop a similar material, geopolymer, but using a local UK construction demolition waste. And as Mustafa mentioned, Mustafa and his team in material and structure is going to build a large scale field demonstration at Hajateba, and that demonstration will help very much in terms of disseminating and giving industry a clear prototype to implement and use our development. Mustafa, do you want to cover the second bit related to the role of Newton Fund?
Okay, so let me continue to answer your question. Let me start with the importance of the Newton Fund. So our Newton project is a great example of inspiration to foster the interdisciplinary research, as Ashraf said, experience leading to broadening researchers' expertise and skills in research through international research project concepts. So related with your questions about the role of the Newton Fund in our project, Newton Fund provided a first-hand opportunity for the first time to closely collaborate in a project together for the researchers from the Hacettepe University and Bradford University, as they were the best fit for the proposed subjects of the project, and take the advantage of their individual expertise and know-how on construction materials and structural engineering to favor our project's outcomes and success. It also provided our organizations new key research facilities, infrastructures, and equipment, enabling impactful and efficient research studies. So by this way, efficient, supportive, maybe visible and internationally comparable studies could be performed in our institutions, in our laboratory, and studies are still continuing with the Newton medal. So considering all these earnings provided by our Newton funded project, I can easily say that if there was not Newton Fund, we would have had great difficulty in several aspects, such as developing valuable and efficient collaboration between Bradford and Hacettepe universities, carrying out research required to experimental studies, especially this is one of the most important parts, supporting young and dynamic researchers who will take part in our studies. So that's all from my side.
Thank you, Mustafa Hojam and Ashraf Hojam. It is really very important for us to see direct impact of Newton Fund in your project, and with your words, hearing that with your words was very precious and important for us. And Ashraf Hojam really gave a good example of working in interdisciplinary teams and the importance of complementary expertise. So I'd like to ask the same question to Dr. Sharifi and Dr. Wahed Dost. How did you benefit from each other's strength and the Newton Fund's role in your project?
Okay, before starting to talking about the nature of our collaboration, I recognize that I missed a point about the danger of not taking any action, because it is somehow defines some kinds of nature that we want to establish, or the nature of our collaboration. The area is under stress because the water resources are in somehow risky points, and there's a risk of pollution, and water deficit around. So the nature of our collaboration was actually to establish a link between researchers and authorities in the first place. Then we decided to provide some data from the governmental or institutional sources to first of all decide on the situation of the area. What are the risks? Is there any immediate threat about the water resources? You already have heard about the mucilage problem in Marmara Sea. So it could be, for example, let's say foreseen if we have initiated the collaboration before. Maybe let's say we decided to do a first research or an initial research to look if there is any other risk of pollution or losing our water resources around. So what did we do? We get in touch with the colleagues in Bursa Technical University and the authorities for providing the data from them. And we established a link with the University of Birmingham because they were already in contact with several institutions and universities around the world, and they also have a good experience in international collaborations. Yeah, that was the nature of our collaboration for establishing links, knowing each other, defining the threats on the water resources, and initiating water-related research. That was the main nature of the collaboration. And I think the role of Newton Fund was in the first place was to providing us with the motivation and getting in touch with each other, which Dr. Sharifi will explain it in details, I guess. But from my part, I'm very thankful because we will use some portion of this fund for providing an spectrometer instrument for the hydraulic lab of the Bursa Technical University. That's also a good investment, let's say, because we are going to educate some students and colleagues for let's say studying or researching, investigating the topic of water pollution in the future.
Yes, and if I could just add a few words to what Dr. Wahid just said. So yes, we're very grateful for the funding, and the Newton Fund really acted as an enabler and motivator, and it just made the connection between the two institutions more structured, and it really enhanced in making the impact of our research more impactful. So through this project, we were able to connect with a number of stakeholders. The project covered the research time, so we were able to spend time on data analysis and looking at the problems and issues and writing research papers. So we wouldn't be able to do this meaningful research without this grant. Also, it enabled the training of early career researchers. As Dr. Wahid just mentioned, we were able to purchase some laboratory equipment for the Bursa Technology University hydraulic lab. And I would say that this is one of the main legacies of this project. So we don't want to end here. We just want to continue the capacity building and the training of researchers so that hopefully we will have trained researchers who we can continue collaborating with. And we also have this great network of academics. This is another legacy of the project. And also, we believe that this funding is going to act as a springboard for us, because it's given us the track record for both teams, and now we have publications from the research that we've done. We've shown that we have done some established research, and that will put us in a good position to apply for more funding and continuing our collaborations in the future.
Sarush Hocam, if you like, we can continue from that point exactly. So what is next? Has your research led to any new follow-on research, or what are your future plans around this collaboration? And also, do you need any further support for your future plans?
Right. So, yeah, we would definitely need support, and we won't say no to support. And as everyone will hopefully agree with me, research is expensive. It requires time, and it requires researchers to do field investigations. In the case of experimental work, go to the labs, use expensive equipment, build prototypes, and do field work. So definitely we will look for further support in the future. And what we did through this project was, through the links that we established and through the networking that we did, one of our objectives was to identify challenges that have a priority. And we were able to do this. We have a list of priorities that we've created with the help of our network. And we have plans, and we've looked at applying for larger grant applications in the future. So we are definitely going to keep this collaboration alive. And one of the main ways that we're going to do this is by applying to joint funding and hopefully doing meaningful research in the future.
It was quite good to hear your future plans. I'd like to ask the same question to Ashraf Hocam and Mustafa Hocam. So what is next, and what type of funding, or do you need any policy support in the future?
Okay, thank you very much, Erhan, for directing the same question to us as well. I mean, we already started, because as I told you, we had lots of fruitful collaboration with the Mustafa's team in Hajj Taiba University. We already applied for a Marie Curie Research Fellowship via the European Commission Horizon 2020, and we got this. One colleague of Mustafa from Hajj Taiba University, Gorkan Elderimi, he is with us now at Bradford University, continuing some of the work and developing more work to advance the geopolymer behavior and the demountable connections. So this is already we've been successful in achieving this. The other sort of capacity build and the other work and other initiatives we have done, the two universities, Hajj Taiba University and Bradford University, signed an Erasmus Plus agreement for student and staff exchange and mobility. And hopefully, I mean, obviously the COVID and the current situation affecting such mobility, but as soon as things getting better, will be more staff exchange between the two universities. One very important future initiative, and we already as well starting this, to share and exchange knowledge obtained from the project with various interested stakeholders, mainly industrial colleagues who are interested in taking up our finding and taking up the material. And this is one very important next step to start looking at exploiting and do more commercialization for our finding, mainly in a KT project, either here in UK or in Turkey. That will be a fantastic opportunity for both of us to achieve this. Obviously, we will keep our eye on future calls from British Council, from TÜBİTAK and other research councils for collaboration between both partner. And we, on top of this, we recently submitted an application for Marie Curie doctoral training network with other partners from EU, aiming mainly to train a good number of PhD students to learn about this new material and learn about the technique and advance their knowledge in such sustainable construction material. That's all what I want to explain in this. So I mean, it's moving forward with lots of fruitful outcome from this Newton Fund, and we're trying to carry on with our research collaboration.
Thank you, Ashraf Hojam. Thank you, Soroush Hojam. It was very good to hear your future plans and plans to sustain your collaboration, because yes, we are talking about environmental sustainability, but when it comes to academia, it is really difficult to sustain the collaborations, sustain the research while keeping up the all the efforts in the projects. So it was, I'm feeling really hopeful for both of the projects, and I'm feeling very hopeful for the impact of your projects as well. So we were talking about the Newton Fund's impact and the next opportunities through Newton Fund. Ashraf Hojam and Mustafa Hojam, you are also you already mentioned it, but you're also the winner of Newton Prize 2020 Turkey Award. And I really would like to ask a question about that. How winning the Newton Prize enabled you to achieve your goals around your study, to take your studies further?
Okay, so let me answer this question. Firstly, I'm deeply pleased and honored to receive this prestigious award. And in the scope of Newton Prize, so as I explained before, actually some of them I have already explained, but I just want to emphasize again, in addition to the developed solutions in our Newton funded projects, our initial projects, we have planned to enhance the greenness of the developed 100% construction and demolition waste-based methods. I think this is the first time in the world that we are going to produce the methods with 100% waste methods. Through the efficient carbon dioxide binding and elimination capability in favor of human health or natural ecosystem, global economy, and finally, we have also planned to validate the ultimate products, both materials and structures, with additional green perspective through a detailed large-scale field demonstration in Ankara here, in the campus of the Hacettepe University, for the first time in the world. So, by the way, we are still working on these subjects. We are designing both architectural and statistical design of the structures. So by doing so, a profitable and circular value chain of the developed materials and products, and thereby a circular economy perspective on sustainable construction and demolition recycling process will be ensured, hopefully, at the end of this demonstration. And our project's findings will be the first time made visible to much larger audience and disseminated for the years to come. I think in this regard, in order to perform related studies and realize all these plans, Newton Prize provided us a valuable financial resource and a real opportunity to continue our international collaboration, and hopefully with the different occasions we will continue to collaborate with the Bradford University and Professor Ashraf as well.
Thank you, Mustafa Hocam. I experienced a problem with my microphone. Sorry about that. Actually, I'd like to ask a very policy-oriented question to Dr. Sharifi and Dr. Wahed Dost. So you already mentioned that one of your project targets was influencing the policies in a more manageable, in a more benefitable way. So what is the role of local authorities in your project? What is your plan to increase the impact area of your project? Because it is very critical in your area to work with local authorities.
I can start I start to answer, and Dr. Shafi will probably complete it. So the authorities here are all already aware of the situation of the water in the region. So we have the water deficits and water pollution around. I personally have participated in several meetings. Actually, yesterday we were a panel. We were in a panel of an event named Technofest, which is provided by a normal school, and they were held an event for giving students such an opportunity to provide projects, innovative projects, to provide solution for droughts. So we are going to be juries or the panelists who will decide that which project will win. So actually, in those events, I have the opportunity to talk with the authorities. For example, there are some people from the state hydraulic works or similar authorities that we continuously can share the idea of this project. They are also aware of our activities. Then they promised us that they would provide us with the information and the data that we are needed. They also were eager to collaborate with us about doing some joint research, and some issues like that are always a hot topic between us that we talk with each other. And I think Dr. Sharifi had
and just some additional words from me. Yes, so water is generally a sensitive issue because of the diversity of the stakeholders and also the diversity of the water resources. And if we really want to make an impact and any change, we need to have the policymakers on our side. And what we aim to do is hopefully in the future to disseminate our work to a wider audience, focusing on policymakers and trying to convince them to implement policies that is in the benefit of the people and all the sectors. It's not an easy task because we have different sectors. We have the agriculture sector, we have the industries, we have domestic usage, and then there are lots of issues with pollution. And because of climate change and because of the droughts, there's uncertainty in the future. So what we really want to do is we want to try to get more detailed information from the authorities, local authorities, include that information in our analysis, and then propose our changes to the policymakers and hopefully convince them to make some changes in the water and wastewater treatment regulations that exist.
Thank you, Sarush Hocam. As you just mentioned, influencing the local authorities is very critical in your project, so hopefully you will engage them fully and on time. One last question, it is from the Q&A section, and to Ashraf Hocam and Mustafa Hocam. Are you planning any performance analysis of the recycled, reused construction materials?
shall I answer this one? Yeah, I mean, again, thank you very much for this question from the audience, and it's a very, very important question without any doubt. I mean, the quality of the demolition and recycle materials to be used is very important, and one of the challenge, as you correctly identified, is this sort of variability of the demolition waste, and this is one of the challenges facing us in terms of the quality of the geopolymer concrete being produced at the end. In fact, we tried to get demolition waste from local waste plants here, organization, and so on and so forth, and we find the majority at the moment just trying to crush such demolition waste from 30-40 mil to dust as a mixed material together, and using those as sub bases for roads. Although this is good from environmental point of view, I mean, in terms of not landfilling such construction demolition waste material, but on the other hand, they are not helping the economy and the society, and in fact, they are not helping the production of our geopolymer to reduce CO2 emission. So to answer your question, we trying in our lab to do this, to do the filtration and to look at the quality of the demolition waste we're using in producing the geopolymer. But we hoping when we start exploiting the outcome and the finding of our project, something like this has to be done on a wider scale in the waste plants and people looking after demolition waste. I'm hoping I answered your question with those few sentences.
Hocam,
You're muted.
there is a small delay in my microphone, so okay. I think that is causing a technical problem. Sorry about that. Thank you, Ashraf Hocam. It was a clear explanation for the question. Finally, I'd like to hear your final comments. Let's start with Sarush Hocam. Would you like to share your final comments?
So I would just like to thank the Newton Fund and the British Council for giving us this opportunity to talk about our work. One of our objectives in any kind of research that we want to do is dissemination and connecting with the wider audience, and participating in these events really helps us in achieving that goal. So hopefully our information, contact information, is going to be shared by the British Council. And if participants are interested in our research, we encourage them to get in touch with us. We're more than happy to share our knowledge, our analysis techniques, our data with whoever is interested. And we would really like to expand our network, not just only in Bursa, but to other regions. And we've already identified a few academics and researchers in other parts of Turkey who are interested in our work and do research that's overlapping what we do. So we definitely want to meet you. And if you have any questions or if you want to get in touch, please do contact us.
I believe we can share your contact on the YouTube video of this session. Later, after this session, I'll ask for any website or any direct contact you would like to share openly on that YouTube video. Babek Hocam, would you like to add anything?
Yes, of course. I'm also thankful for your support as the Newton Fund and the British Council as well. It was a nice collaboration. We still want to continue and to participate in your future projects as well. As Dr. Sharifi also said, that we are very eager, extremely eager, to extend our network and do joint research, even in Turkey and in United Kingdom. So that's all from me. Nice to meet you and be here.
Thank you, Babek Hocam. Ashraf Hocam.
Okay, thank you very much. Again, I'm just going to echo what my colleagues just said to thank you for giving us this opportunity to thank Newton Prize, British Council, to BTAC for supporting and funding us in this project. And I'm sure now I got a very long-lasting relation with colleagues in Hajateba, mainly Mustafa and his team, and we're going to continue working together in larger project, carrying on to achieve our dream in having a more sustainable environment, more sustainable world, how we can save the planet from CO2 emission and the climate change and other issues. So we will continue, and thank you very much for giving us this opportunity, and we're going to provide you with all the information to include in the website. I mean, all our publicity material, websites, journal publication, and other important information finding related to the project. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Ashraf Hocam. Mustafa Hocam, last but never the least, please, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you very much. There was some problem with my connection. I do really apologize for this, but it is totally out of my control. But I just want to finalize my words with something related about the Turkey. As you know, due to our geopolitical position, Turkey receives a significant amount of immigration, especially from the Middle East. In addition, the active tectonic activities of our geography do not make people forget the fact of the earthquakes of Turkey. In addition to climate change due to global warming and the slightest mistake made in the past in urban planning causes the destructive effects of natural disasters to emerge at a high level. And the fact that the risky building stock is quite high causes a serious increase in urban transformation studies, which results in more cement, brick and concrete production and more construction and demolition waste formation. So in addition to increased population and internal migration, all these increase the negative effects of the country's construction industry on the environment and natural resources with non-sustainable and non-circular approach in terms of the consumption and production. So therefore, establishing the construction sector in which all components of the sector's value chain gain and ecologically, economically, socially, and culturally sustainable identity is a vital obligation for both Turkey, UK, and the rest of the world. And also, as I conclude my speech, I would like to express my sincere gratitude to you, Erhan, to TÜBİTAK and to British Council, and to all make this happen. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mustafa Hocam. In the final remarks, I would like to thank all my distinguished guests for being here today with us. But beyond that, for creating a sustainable future for all of us. We already discussed it 2 days ago, but I have a family, I have a son, and I would like him to have a better future, a livable future. And thank you all, and thank you to all your colleagues in your teams for trying to create a better future for all of us, all the world. And thank you for everyone, to all the audience, for being here and being a part of this wonderful event. For the next episodes of HE Talks, please stay in contact and follow up our social media accounts. Thank you again. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.
Bye,
Bye.
everybody. Thank you very
Bye.
much. Bye.